Good morning, happy Thursday from Dlaang Life and Wellness. It's Nadine Jones again. This week's blog was on I shoulds. And so I shoulds are something that we do to ourselves. It's also something that we hear often from other people. Usually they're related to our core values or other people's core values, which quite often are different than our own. Values can be passed down from parents, but there comes a point in our lives where we need to discern for ourselves what our core values are, what's important to us. And it's important to note too that throughout our life as we grow and change, our values can change as well. But to be able to use them as a touchstone, to constantly come back to them, to check in with ourselves as to where these shoulds are coming from. If they're old thinking patterns from the past, if they're from other people, and therefore possibly we are being faced with other people's values, which then are being thrown at us by way of guilt tripping. Guilt tripping is used often in communication in a lot of our relationships. Guilt tripping often works. It often works because we don't like the feelings associated with guilt, so we do everything to avoid it. And then in the end, what we're usually left with is feeling resentful and disconnected from the person that's doing the guilt tripping at us. It builds up over time, and you may notice that relationships break down without even knowing it sometimes because of all of these good guilt tripping and these you should be doing this or you should be doing that, and it goes directly in conflict with who you're trying to be, or maybe who you're trying to figure out who you're trying to be. Guilt tripping is done with negative energy, and negative energy doesn't build us up. So I want to encourage you to just ponder that and think about bringing more positive energy into your life. Negative energy is around us all the time. It's something we've grown accustomed to, but it's important to notice it when it's there. And if you want to build yourself up more, being more conscious of the negative energy will allow you then to maybe put up a mirror, an invisible mirror, and go, no, that's yours, I don't want it, you can keep that negativity. Mirror works for me. Different imagery we work with in self-regulation to help deflect some of those negative energies coming at us with regards to shame in particular. Guilting is often based on a wrong or right judgment based on values, as I said. So it's usually other people's wrong or right. There's it's not black and white. There's a lot of gray zones. So, we live in the gray zone. It's not all black and white. So I want to encourage you to think about, what your gray zone is. Often when we have shaming coming at us, or we're feeling shamed, because shame is a feeling we have individually. Someone guilts us and then we feel shame. It can cause a lot of numbing out behavior. So for me, addictions was my numbing out behavior. It helped me deaden that sensation of shame because I didn't like it, didn't want it, didn't even notice or know that that's what it was, but ultimately I was dealing with a lot of shame. And my addictions caused more shame, more hiding, more disconnection. So being aware of that is also really important. That shaming, or when we're feeling shamed a lot, can cause us to create other behaviors to avoid shame. It may just be that you find yourself really socially anxious to even go to the grocery store, and so because you're fearful of the shoulds and the shames and everything else that's going to be coming at you, so you end up changing the way you live your life, or the way you want to live your life, and find yourself hanging out at home and avoiding most people most of the time. I have 4 quick steps, running out of time, that I want to help encourage you to become more aware of shame or judgments when they're coming at you. So first, I want you to challenge your perspective. I want you to really disarm guilt and shame, and I want you to start being present with it a little bit, noticing it, paying attention to when someone is shoulding you, and whether you're feeling guilt or shame or what's happening. I want you to start noticing the patterns. Is there certain people in your life that are doing it to you often, or certain situations where you're noticing it more? Thirdly, when you notice it, I want you to name it for yourself. If you can name it out loud, great. If it's not in a place that you can do it, I want you to name it inside. If it takes later on during the day and you realize then, oh my God, I was shamed, I want you to name it for yourself. Naming it helps tame the emotion. It takes its power away. I want you to start building up your power within yourself to call it out. I want you to start talking about it, telling people, if you feel comfortable, when they're shaming you, how it's making you feel. We cannot change the way we are unless we're aware of it. So, fourthly, after you've taken back your control, or even before then, this might even be a first step for you, is I want you to reframe your experience. If there's an instance from childhood or even last week or yesterday, I want to challenge you to look at that experience from a different angle. You can imagine the person as a cartoon character, change their voice. You could even just imagine yourself looking down at the instant. That also changes the perspective of it and takes a little bit of the power away from it and helps you learn to cope and deal with it. So I hope some of these tools are good. These are all things that I use when working with the nervous system and helping people to move past shame that's stored within their nervous system, or to be able to empower themselves to stand up and, maybe it's not verbally with the person and that's fine, but maybe it's just being able to notice it, put up their mirror, deflect it so that hurtful energy isn't coming in anymore and that energy stays with the other person. So love and light. I hope this was helpful, and please give me some feedback. Let me know if it made sense. If it doesn't, I'm happy to come back and do it again. Love and light again. Bye-bye.